Good morning. It's 8:30. I will read the charge for why we're here today. Nueces County Commissioners Court will hold a budget workshop today, Monday, August the 4th, 2014, at 8:30 a.m. in the Commissioners Courtroom located on the third floor of Nueces County Courthouse, 901 Leopard Street. We will discuss matters related to the 2014-2015 budget. Let's stand and do the pledge, please, if we can. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Thank you all very much. Folks, I'm going to turn this over to Steve to start. Let me give a little preliminary words to this. We've had a number of meetings with the county auditor and Lisa from the county auditor staff, Steve, Teresa, to prepare the budget for all of us to discuss today. We believe this to be a very good budget. We've had a number of requests for things, as we always do, from the various departments and elected officials. What I'd like to do with you this morning is let Steve start, and with the book, and Dale, you all come in any time, please, on this, if you will.
We will, Judge.
And this proposal to the court is a combination of a lot of hard work by a lot of people, and I can't thank them enough for all the things they've done to get it to us guys. And so, Steve, why don't you get us started, please? Yes.
It is supposed to be, Commissioner. And I think Robert is here. I'm not sure if they connected up there yet or not. And it also is being recorded for tape from. Well, good morning, Judge and Commissioners. Starting off with our budget, we'll just tab through as we go here. And tab one, I won't spend any time on this. Is just basically, as you know, the process we've always gone through. You know, we adopted our calendar. When Dale sent out the budget request in his letter, he invited departments that they could come and present their budget to the commissioners if they so wished. If they did not indicate they wanted to come present their budget to the commissioners, then we didn't schedule them to do that. Most of them have been here recently, and as you tell, we had a limited number of people this year that came and spoke with you. That has been taken care of. From there, we spent time, looking at different scenarios, but we really couldn't look at the scenarios until, last Friday was the 25th of July when we got the certified tax rolls, giving us a view of what we had for tax revenue. And Dale's going to spend some time going through that with us. So that basically the process we've gone through in the budget calendar. Our budget calendar for the year. I'll just remind you that there's been some different changes in what's required as far as postings. Should the Commissioners Court choose to have a tax increase, in the past we had to do a multiple number of postings. This year we have to do one posting, which has the effective tax rate and what you anticipate in setting your tax rate. So there'll be just one posting in the paper, and there'll be two public hearings, as always been in the past. And ultimately, we're looking at adopting your budget in mid-September, September 15th. And that's for the calendar. Going forward, the next page, I'm going to turn over to the auditor. Tab 2 is the revenues, and the first thing Dale will take you through is the estimated actuals revenues and the estimated actual expenses that he sees for the current year. And so we have an ideal, now that we're down the line, what our estimated ending balance for 2014 will be, and so we'll know where we're going forward to 13. And then he also will be taking you through the estimated revenues for 2014. So with that, Dale.
Thank you, Steve. As Steve said, law requires me to present to you all the estimated actuals for our revenue as well as our expenses for the year end. As we start on tab 2, you'll see the middle column that says estimated actuals for 2013-2014. That'll be the column I'm going to go through as briefly as possible, but I'll go to it as we need. The first section, as you see, is our ad valorem, our property taxes, our current ad valorem, our delinquent taxes, and penalties interest. As you see, I'm estimating that, as has been in the last 3 or 4 years, we've always come above our budget. And our budget information is the column right before it. You'll see we're right at about 95, or a little over 100% of what we budget. Now, we always budget about 95% of our levy, so it's still not 100% collection, but it's always 100% of what we budget. So that's always important, that we always budget about 95% collection, so to be conservative. So we estimate that for this particular, our total property tax is coming in at $60,342,798. That's a little bit less than our budget, because if you look at that, most of the information is our delinquent and penalties interest. And I was talking with Steve and with my staff. These numbers have been kind of high, so as you'll see as we get into budget information, these will be lowered, because if we've been collecting 95 to 98% of our current tax levies the last 2 or 3 years, of course our delinquent taxes will be going down. And most of these delinquent taxes are for very old accounts, so the amount of that will probably go down, and I'm estimating that, but as you'll see when we get to the budget numbers. Our other taxes are our bingo tax, our coin occupancy tax, and VIT tax. Those have been doing very, very well, and you'll see there we're estimating about a $405,000 estimated compared to the $365,000. Now this item, the next item, is our fees of office. You'll see each of the ones we have for the county clerk, district clerk, county courts, collection division, of course the JPs, as well as the constables. This has been trending down. Our collections have been going down as we've been talking about this several times through our JPs and through our other offices. A lot of these accounts has gone down, as you'll see, according to what we have budgeted. Now there's a few offices that are above budget, and they're very, very good at doing that, but a lot of them are down, as you'll see. The district clerk, we budgeted 1.3, we only collected 938. For the county clerk collection division, we budgeted 458, we only collected 361. However, the county clerk's other division, we budgeted 1,036,000, we collected 1,002,000. So some of them are up, but a lot of them are down. As you see for the bottom line, you'll see total fees of office. We're estimating a $3.3 million estimated actual for our balances for fees of office. That's about a about $200,000 difference between what we budgeted, and so a $500,000 decrease from prior year. So you'll see that those are trending down, and we hope that stabilizes in the near future. Same thing has been occurring to our fines and fees on the next page. Overall fines and fees, we're estimating 1.972. We're budgeting of a 2.2. However, we are higher than last year, so that's a good note. But you'll see as we talk about budget, I'm going to be lowering those figures down based on trend analysis and other analysis, but we'll go over just our estimates in that at the moment. Our licenses and permits that we have, we're budgeting an estimated actual of $152,000 based on a budget of $175,000. The one item that has been very, very well is the next one, motor vehicle services. We're estimating 4.3, and that may be low compared to what I was the last check, but 4.3 is fair compared to 2.8. And this is the number that Mr. Kieschnick always talks about, the sales tax and other taxes that comes in for the state. Now, this is the amount that we transfer from the general fund to the road fund, so a lot of this is used there, but as you see, we've exceeded the budget by over $1 million. As we go to intergovernmental revenue, at the very bottom, you'll see total intergovernmental revenue of $4,782,000. Now, these are like your grants, your alcohol beverage taxes, your jury reimbursements, and your other amounts. And this year we got a good little bump in our indigent defense grant. You'll see there in the middle we got $527,000 this year, which was an additional $300,000, I believe it was, that came in on top of our normal amount. So that helped quite a bit. So we're estimating about a $4,780,000, which is quite high, great compared to our budget. It's a little bit less than last year, but those fluctuate because this is where we account for our grant revenue coming in. If we go to our next page, you'll see our housing for inmates and juveniles. Our housing for federal inmates is fairly stationary. It has been right at $480,000 to $500,000 each year, and that's where we budget. Our big decrease we've seen last year and this year is still in our juvenile courts. we're budgeting 450, and we're only coming in at 350 last year, and we're at 359 this year, based on our best assumptions. So we're coming in below budget on total housing and inmates. We're at 846 compared to 924. Our charges of services.
Explain that to me. You're talking about we're spending less?
No, we're bringing in money. The money coming in from the juvenile courts, the ones that we lease out to other counties for juvenile inmates, that amount's coming down.
They're not sending as many here?
That, or we're not asking for them to come in. Either way, that's either they're not coming in because of the other outside counties, or our courts, our juvenile probation is not bringing the other cases, the other court counties in. And we saw this last year as a trend down to 350, and we're at 359. So unless that may come straight from other counties that we lease our facility to. And we saw that coming down.
I'll provide you, I do have, the juvenile does provide us a monthly summary. I'll show a chart year to date, and yeah, they've been pretty much trending down slightly in their out-of-county stuff. And I'll give you that, and you'll be able to take a look at it.
Now, our costs have been maintained the same, but our income coming into for the other counties has gone down as we've seen the last 2 or 3 years. And you'll see that as I project my next year's budget when we come to that figures.
So I guess we need to ask Homer or somebody if this is something they're doing on purpose, or is
It's not, no, I talked to them about it. It's driven by the other counties' budgets themselves, and so they have money, they send them. If they don't, when their budget is tight, they don't send them. In the summertime, we see it drop off, or at the end of the fiscal year, we see it drop off. So it's not that we don't have the room, and I think that there's not the need there. It's just their budget numbers. Because the state used to provide assistance for this type of stuff, and they're not providing as much money for that, I believe.
I was anticipating that federal inmate revenue would go up substantially, because we for a while weren't getting any, and then spent a lot of money to get it cleaned up, and it started coming. That doesn't look to be the case.
Now, going through what we've had in the last month of this went through July, that we did the revenue projection, and we projected July, August, and September. So the last 3 months can be a little higher than we were estimating, but based on the trend we've been seeing and working with, talking with the sheriff, that's the best we were able to come up with at the time we did the analysis. This could be a lot higher, and this is only for what we house in our current jail. The ones that are over at LCS is in a different number. It comes into transfers into the into our Fund 13. So this is basically for transporting federal inmates as well as housing them in our current jail.
What we had been using the budget was 20, keeping 20, an average of 20 year round, and that's the budget. I think that's what that number from last year. When we started out, we were going to budget for 20, hoping to have 25, but 20 was what we used for budget. And in the last several months, it's been down in the 17 to 19 level. We're down a couple for the last month, a month and a half, and that could, I've talked to Chief McKenzie, and he told me that it sounded like the feds were running out of placement money for this year yet, but they were going to work towards trying to get them up. Yeah.
This is up to what time? What month is this?
This is through June to July of balances, and projecting July, August, and September.
Well, the number in here is the annualized number, Commissioner.
Right.
So that's to the end of the year.
Yes.
What he's taking the actual through June and then projected out. So the projected number is 486.
46, yes.
For the year.
The next time we go on is our. Go ahead.
The jail, you said jail inmates for federal inmates jail versus they're the same thing?
Yes, all the federal inmates are in the main jail here because we don't put any federal in the annex. So, and we've when we set out for our budget, what their target has been 20, an average of 20 a day for the whole year. And that's the housing over here, and they shift the lower risk inmates from the jail here to the annex. But we don't keep any federals over at the annex.
Do you think the LDS contract is having any effect on the number of prisoners getting over here?
I don't think so, because they prefer to put them here for transport. You know, most of the ones we get here are transport to the federal court. Now, the LCS at one point this year was down also, but they popped back up there. The federal, both the Border Patrol and the federal marshals numbers have fluctuated around this year somewhat. I'm not sure what that whole reason is, but I can't tell you if there was no LCS over there that we wouldn't have more in here. But as part of I believe, you know, part of the in the middle of summer here, you know, we got, for a while we were right up to max on numbers for the jail itself, so we couldn't take any. We weren't taking any additional federal at that time because we didn't have the room to put them in there. But that's evened out now, and I think they're working to bring those up to that level now.
We've been receiving inmates pretty much this whole year. I mean, there's another time we weren't receiving something for whatever reason. So the whole year, this whole budget year that passed, that we're looking at, we received inmates, more opens for each federal inmate.
We for the whole year, and you take a look, in your jail reports they have listed on there. But for the whole year, there's federal inmates in the jail. And there were parts of the year when we were above the 20, and so that's why our average is up more than what, you know, we're down a little bit now, but it's been up and down. But on average, you know, the goal is to be at 20. And from what's looking at the estimated actual here, if we, you know, what he's estimating actual right now is more than what we budgeted last year, and so we're at the 20 or more. I would estimate for the year. But they are here every day of the year. That's the goal, every day of the year that they're there.
So at the beginning of the year, we budgeted to have an average of 20 per
Yes.
month in our jail.
20 per day.
20 per day.
I mean, I'm sorry, 20 per day. And we're going to average probably just a little over that by the end of the year.
That's
Yes.
what the estimate
Yes,
is.
that's what I'm
So our
estimating.
revenue will be up just a little bit from what it was last year.
It's down from last year.
Down from last year, but up
the
for budget.
Last year we were closer. We were, you know, closer to the 23.
Now, I'm just talking about budget.
Yes.
For the budget, yes, sir.
Okay, our charges for services, we're estimating about a 525, 790. There's several items in charges for services, none to stand out individually, so we go in totals, but you'll see it's slightly below our budget and about 50,000 from the last year, but that, I don't see any fluctuations where that causes any concern. We show our interest has gone up from last year, but still below our $100,000 budget. Now, we should probably see a slight increase this year, next year, I should say, because we've gone into a few markets that our investment committee says has improved with municipals and other investments. So that number should go up. However, I don't believe it'll go up higher than what we're proposing our budget. So we're still estimating a $68,706 budget there. Our rentals and commissions that we have throughout the county through the general fund is $436,106 based on our budget of $370. So that's always shown higher than what we've done. So the prior years we've been $450, $430 before that, and $430 this year. So you'll see as we go the next year, I'm estimating proposing an additional increase there. Our refunds and reimbursements showing our court points reimbursement, our other reimbursements. Those are different rentals throughout the county we have. Steve, you'll have to, I know there's a bunch of rentals we have in our general fund. I don't have the each item reported individually. I can get that if we need to.
we have some, as Dale, I'm kind of drawing a blank. We do have some properties that we rent out there, and there's commissions.
The tax commission, I
Yes.
think the tax assessors collectors commission there, and ours, I don't know it's in the governmental revenue on that one, but
Yeah, it's spread out. We'll get you a list of that, Commissioner.
That include like the land over
Well, yeah, some of the
across the harbor there.
the land is pretty much, the land at the airport goes to airport fund, so that's not included here, and the land at the fairgrounds goes to the fairground fund, so it doesn't include those lands.
and most of the number you'll see here is our commission, but we'll get you an ideal list of each item there available. But most of it's our commission side of it instead of a rental side of it, but we do have rental on several properties.
The breakdown of that would be in our budget.
Yes.
Well, not the detail.
Not the detail of this, but we'll get you the detail of each line item for this, yes.
We'll get you, we'll provide you that. Say again, Commissioner?
You're talking about almost a 70,000 increase.
And it is, it is, I think as Dale said, it's in the commissions rather than rental properties. We don't have much rental property, but there are commissions, and I'm not sure, Dale, you said, is the taxpayers collection?
I believe that's an intergovernmental revenue since we get most of those commissions from other governmental agencies, so I don't believe that's there. You'll see that in the other page in tax collection fees on the intergovernmental revenue. I'll have to give you a list of I'll have a breakdown before too long on what's rental commission. As we get through this, I'll have something available very soon. Our refunds and reimbursements, this is our court attorney reimbursements. This is different from the other items. This is what we get from actual defendants that reimburse us for the cost. And we're showing a decrease of about $70,000 from our budget. So again, the collections for that is going down on some other items. So hopefully that doesn't stay there. Hopefully we go back up to our $10,000. So I didn't change that next year. You'll see, but I'm estimating about a 143 compared to 201. Our other income is our sales of printed materials, our copy fees, and miscellaneous revenue, and I'll get you a breakdown of what that miscellaneous revenue is. It seems a little high, but I'll get you a breakdown of that. But we're estimating about 231 compared to 130 of the prior year. So for my total revenue for the general fund, I'm estimating about a $77,572,400 balance based on a budget of $76,405,735. That's about 105%. If my math is right on collections for our budget. I'm bringing in the transfers as we budgeted, so there's no increase or decrease in budget for our estimate actual to our budget. So total available revenue that we have coming into the general fund that I'm estimating is $78,940,847 compared to the $77,774,179. So I'm showing again, as I'm showing, about a 103 and 105% collection ratio for our estimated actuals. Do we have any other questions on our revenue before we go to expenses? For our expenses, you'll see on tab 3. I'll have to give you a breakdown of what makes up that. That's basically all the remaining other miscellaneous items that we have, and I'll have to give you a breakdown of what makes up that number. And at some point in time, this will be reviewed and see why it's still being reported as miscellaneous revenue. If it's that high of a number, it should be reported as other sources of revenue, so we can better trace it. So if we go to our tab 3, you'll see our balances for each of our departments for our expenses.
And there you're looking at the estimated actual, the middle column.
Minimum column again, and these are summarized per department. I think Steve has later in the book. You'll see each department individualized. If we'd like to go through each one, see the detail of each of the departments, we can. So if we go to I'm just going to go through the totals on this, so we can proceed. total general government, which includes all the commissioners' court, all the commissioners, the county judge, the Steve's Commissioners Court Administration, grants administration, risk management, as well as the county clerks, the human resources, county auditor, purchasing, veterans. Total budget for the year was $15,468,169. I'm estimating coming in at $13,214,952, which is a good decrease in that from where we were. So if we go to the next page, you'll see our buildings and facilities, which is all of our buildings in the area, and we'll see our estimated actuals for all the buildings through all the ones we have, including our regular mechanical maintenance, as well as all the outlying buildings, Bishop, Port Aransas buildings, McKenzie Annex, and all the other buildings in the area. We're estimating about a $7,322,755 estimated actual based on the budget of $8,545,936. So that's also a decrease from the budget, which is as projected.
Let me add that the biggest part of that difference is the energy savings,
Yes.
electricity savings. That's we're spending our building budgets pretty, as you know, Glenn, is transferred back and forth. This is the energy savings.
And next year's budget, as we go through our proposed budget, you'll see that prior budgets, the energy budget has been kept in each of the buildings departments. This year, we're moving it, and we're reducing it to the actual cost, a little bit on the plus side, but in case of bad situations. But we've kind of removed some of these savings out and moved to do a transfer, because we have to transfer those funds to Department 1352 to pay for the debt service requirements of our item of outlay that we invested it for. Our next page is capital outlay. We budgeted $1,070,000. We're coming in at estimating of $1,018,094. Steve does a very good job on managing this, so that was working with him and on our projections on our estimated actuals for that. The next item we'll see is our administration of justice, which is all our county court laws, our district courts, our juvenile courts, district clerk as well as the JPs and the ME. We're estimating at $18,827,006 estimated actual based on a $20,270,000 budget. Again, we're coming in below our budget amount, which has been very good. The law enforcement, which includes definitely our district attorney and our sheriff's office and our constables, which is the largest part of our budget usually, are always. We're estimating a $26,299,043 based on the budget of $26,435,318, and the largest part of why that's a little bit closer to our budget is the jail had a lot of overtime, over $250,000 worth of overtime that was there. So as hopefully those numbers start coming down, we'll get lower. But unfortunately, that number came in close to what we had budgeted. Our social services came in estimating at $2,311,364 based on a budget of $2,697,317. So that's again promising. Our health and safety and sanitation, which includes our emergency services, emergency management, as well as animal control, estimated at $660,796 based on a budget of $700,424. And then our agriculture, education, and computer sciences, which includes our ag extension, our family and community science, as well as our county library. We're estimating $639,305 compared to $751,061. The total before transfers is estimating of $70,293,315 based on a budget of $75,938,225. And if we do our transfers out as we've done in the present, now we see on the estimated actuals, I'm projecting a $9,948,670, which is above the transfer out requirements that we're showing on our budget. The big reason is I've been working with Steve, and we've added an additional amount of transfers going to our self-insurance fund. You'll see we had budgeted $200, and I'm estimating $800, but this is something we can work on as we come through the balances. So that's a little bit higher than that, but we believe that that's its need. So our budget for last year was
also the special revenue. The other part of the increase is there's $1 million
Yeah,
That's been transferred out for-
that's the energy savings that we transferred to that, and next year you'll see that as part of the original budget, so as we go through that, and then see if it's correct on that.
Can you turn your,
This is the expenses, but we also got some revenue coming in for those, right? I mean,
Correct.
aren't
Yes.
Those are shown in the previous section?
the self-insurance fund,
No,
we-
health, safety and sanitation, the animal control 911
No,
program.
no, that's the self-insurance fund as a separate fund itself is not part of the general fund. And so that's why we're transferring some money out of the general fund to it, but it does have on the previous page, the only department, the health and safety is emergency services, or emergency management, 911, code enforcement, and animal control are under that category. But the self-insurance fund, we have our annual premiums money coming in there from both the county's annual budget contribution and employee contribution, and this year we did get some money come in from the reinsurance, but that's a separate fund, completely separate from our general fund, Commissioner. And we will go through that when we talk insurance.
Yeah, but mainly on because this is I thought that was supposed to be a item that was paid by the hospital district.
No, not
That's
our
that
health
department.
insurance, the health district.
The health district.
Oh, the animal, no, it's not animal control either. It's vector control.
Vector control.
Vector control and is paid by the hospital district, but animal control has no tie to the hospital district. It's always been the general fund.
So going through that, we were estimating total appropriations of $80,241,985 based on the budget of $84,236. So based on that, with our revenue coming in, I'm projecting an ending fund balance for the year end of 12/13/14 of $20,211,436 based on the numbers we have for estimated action for the general fund.
And I might just add on that, and that's that projected ending fund balance will put us at 26% of our revenues and expenses, or revenues and transfers. Remember, our target is 25%, and we're ending this year at 26%. When we did the budget, our conservative budget estimate was at the 25%. So again, we've budgeted revenue conservatively, expenditures conservatively, so that we don't fall short. And this year this ending fund balance is about close to $1 million more than what we had projected when we did our budget last year.
And let me say publicly how much I appreciate all the hard work that was done by all the elected officials, all the appointed officials, and everyone else who had a hand in controlling their expenses, because you can see the success we had this year was because we controlled our expenses, and we had a lot of people work really hard on that. We could not have ended up where we are as to budget with our expenses unless people had not watched that. And I want to thank the judges and everyone else who worked very hard to help us control this. So this was a very positive year from the standpoint of all of our elected and appointed officials working with the court to control expenses, and it made a difference, because if our expenses had not been controlled, we would have not had the carry forward on our fund balance. And as you will see in just a minute when we get to the new budget, that fund balance is very, very important to us as we move forward. So Dale, go ahead if you will, please. I'm sorry.
Just a quick question, Dave.
Yeah.
So our total appropriations and transfers out, we're actually over budget right at 700,000. Is that right? 689, 661.
No,
No, it's under.
we're
Well, that's an increase and decrease from proposing from that increase decrease that you see is a proposed budget from last year's budget in this year's budget. So we're going from budget 13-14 to proposed 14-15 is a decrease of 686, 661.
Okay.
But, Commissioner, I think our current year's budget of 13-14 was 84 million, and we came in at 80 million, so we're about $4 million under what budget as far
Yes.
as actual expenditures for the current year we
Yeah,
just finished.
right.
Yeah, so last year, we had an increase in tax revenues of about 4 million and change.
Last year was 2.6, 2.7, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
And Commissioner, you know, and that's how our projection every year, when, you know, our budgeted ending fund balance for the year was in the $14-15 million range. But when we do our budget, you know, we project that we're going to be $4 or $5 million more at the end of the year, and that's basically, you know, we can't spend more than what we appropriate, but we always end up with this type of scenario where there's money that's lapsed due to salary, there's money that's lapsed due to other things that aren't done. The department's looking closely at what their funds that we do. So we couldn't go year to year unless we had this type of scenario where we don't spend every dime. If we spend every dime, we would be bankrupt soon.
Yeah. And the 20,211,436, that's our ending fund balance per estimated actual
Projected, yes.
for the year.
20,211,436, yes.
What's the percentage of our total budget on that? Is that gonna
Steve had said it was 26.
It was 26. This ending fund balance is about 26% of our budgeted
revenue.
revenue and expenses for our revenues and transfers in this year.
That's higher than it's ever been, right?
No,
Huh?
but it's better than the goal. Our goal is 25%.
We always budget we hope for 25%, but we hadn't been close to 25% in a while, have we?
Well, yeah, we're close.
What were we last year?
We're above
But-
20%.
Yeah, each year, now maybe I have a little,
I'm thinking back from like 2009 forward.
we've, you know,
Where's your magic sheet?
on 2000, on tab 7.
Okay.
And the second page, go to the second page and tab, and you'll see that if the 2013-2014, this projected budget of 20,211,000 is at 26%. Last year, actually, we were at 29%. Now, I think, Commissioner, I need to clarify. Your question was, what is that percent of appropriations? And so this, I'd have to recalculate. This is percentage of revenue. It's not percent of appropriations.
Okay.
And so I'll redo that recalculation for you. But
That's what I'm talking
the
about.
percent of appropriations, it is a smaller percentage, yes.
Before we proceed, I've got some information on the revenues information you were asking for a minute ago, Commissioner Gonzalez, about the rentals and commissions. The rentals commissions are based on the biggest commission we have coming in is our telephone commission at the jail.
That's what it is.
We budgeted about $320,000 a year, and that's about where we're coming in we're projecting balances. So you'll see that our biggest amount of our rentals and commissions is coming from that particular number. The rest is for small billing and rents that we have, as well as credit union rent and other telephone commissions. The other ones are very minor, but the largest one is our telephone commission from the jail. And I'll get you the information on miscellaneous revenue very soon.
If we want to move forward to tab 4, we can start talking about our tax revenue. And I'll start off, and then Dale will go through some other detail on it. But to start with, the first page, this is the certified tax roll provided by the tax assessor on the 25th of July. Notice that, first of all, I notice that it's $22,791,000 value that's not under protest. Under protest this year, there's $566 million. That's $340 million more than last year, what we had under protest. Last year, the under protest this time was $221 million. And we'll have some more talk about this as we go through our thing. The $340 million in protest is tied to Valero, and they protest all up down the coast. So
Now,
every
Steve,
place.
with talking with the appraiser, the value for the Valero is not considered under protest, if I remember what you're talking this correctly. So it's not
It's
that
not
number
there.
you see is not that's not under protest. It's considered as the value not under protest.
But then this really is a high protest number.
Yes,
Because
and most of that is coming from our island information that they were talking about. But the information for Valero is not part of the protest.
Well, we'll talk about that later. But I do note that there's more than double the protest this year, and we'll see how that all works out towards the end. But that was our projection, and so the total valuation they provided to us is at the $23,358,000, and that's including everything that's under protest, not under protest. Going to the second page. I broke the values out by categories, and the first thing we have, the very top is land. This is all land totals. So the homestead land values are now at $2,840,000,000, which is up $222 million from last year. The non-homestead land values are at $3,414,000,000, and that's up $122 million from last year. The ag values are at $1 billion, and that's up about $100 million. So the total land market values have increased by $444 million from 2013 to 2014. The improvements to properties, by far the bigger one is the home site. This is resident or home sites, not just individual resident, but all home sites, and it's up $915 million. It's at $10,941,000,000, and the non-home site values have increased by $263 million, with a total improvements increase of $1,178,000,000. Non-real property, personal property, I should say, increased by $340 million. And so taking and then factoring in the homestead cap adjustment, this year's $641 million, and productivity adjustment of $941 million. The total assessed value is at $29,684,000,000. And then right below is all our exemptions. The exemptions granted, the homestead exemption over 65, tax exempt properties, disability, housing bill abatements, and we have a total abatements of $6,793,000,000, ending up with the total of $22,791,000, and I did this calculation. This is all on property that's not under protest. So this $22,791,000,000 is the same number that was on the first page of property that was not under protest. So there's been property not under protest, an increase of $1,500,000,000. So. The next page has the certified rolls broken out into various categories, and if you will, if you skip to the next page, I kind of give you a summary of what you typically look for, and that's the residential versus commercial. When I take the single residence and the multi-resident market values, the residential increased by 9.34% in values. It's now at the $14,602,000,000. The commercial increases for both property and personal property, combination of those together, increased by 4.85%, and that value is at $10,487,000,000. So there was a lot of and we did see in the economic information we were getting, there was a lot of residential new starts this last year, and valuations increased, obviously. Yeah. That's a summary, the basic summary on what the tax appraisal district provided us. Dale's going to take you through the calculations of the effective tax rate and the rollback rate and scenarios that we had for as far as how much value we would get in tax levy on this. So if there's not any questions of me, I'm going to turn it over to Dale to cover the next section.
Thank you, Steve. I'm going to turn this over to Lisa. I had to be out last week for 3 days for surgery, so she was the one that went through the scenarios with Steve and the judge on that. So I'll let her be the one to brief you on the next section. But don't hesitate to ask any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you, Dale. The net taxable value, excluding the ceiling property, has what?
We're on
Right
tab 4, the third
tab
page.
4, third page.
Third page, comparison of net taxable value.
It increased $1.6 billion, which is an increase of 8.23%. Are y'all on the same page? Did y'all find it? Okay. You go to the general fund effective tax rate. That's the effective tax rate is the tax rate that you need in order to generate the same amount of levy that we had for the previous year. To calculate the general fund effective tax rate, we had the total net taxable value per the appraised roll on the page that Steve had given you of $23 billion. We add in the rolling railroad, which was an increase, and it's now at $7.6 million.
And that amount comes from the comptroller.
That's correct. We take out the tax freeze, the ceiling of $1.056 billion to get that net taxable value of $22.309 billion. We take out the tax increment financing, the TIFs that we have, and that gives you the total taxable value of $22.023. You adjust out the new improvements, and that gives you your adjusted tax value of $21.652 billion. The levy last year was $68 million. The effective tax rate is then calculated as 0.315740. And whenever you combine that, the M&O, the debt service, along with your farm to market, that's going to be on the next page, you get a combined effective tax rate of 0.319622. The following page is your farm to market that I just discussed. Again, you have your total net taxable value per the appraised roll of $23.566 billion. Again, you add in the rolling railroad.
Let's go down here.
You take out the same TIF and the new adjustments to get to your adjusted taxable value of $21.862 billion. Last year's levy was $848,000, and that gives you the effective tax rate of .003882. On the
Question,
next,
the,
I'm sorry?
yeah, on the first page, general fund effective tax rate calculations, where you're referring to C line 18, where do we go to?
That's
C
on
line?
your truth in taxation. If you were to look at the truth in taxation calculations that the state of Texas, the state comptroller requires that we prepare, so that everybody prepares the same tax
So you're
rate
referring to
calculation.
something in the tax code when you say C line 18?
That's correct.
Well, no, not the tax code. We have a very long tax calculation sheet that we have to do that has multiple lines. We didn't want to confuse everyone with all the numbers and calculations, so for our particular purposes for this, we say C line 18, so if you had the whole item, you can go to line 18, you would see that same exact number.